Hello dear listeners, TW here. Join me as I traverse 100 years of horror cinema, one flick at a time. The master of suspense strikes again. 1963's The Birds, Hitchcock's follow-up to masterpiece Psycho, flew onto screens to a resounding meh from critics, but was a box office smash. What worked? Why was it somewhat lukewarm at the time? Interestingly, the use of a female protagonist, again, sets the film apart. The future films of horror in the late 70s and 80s that had women as the leads being the staple was not yet the norm. Here, Tippi Hedren, discovered and later sexually harassed by Hitchcock, stars as the woman about town in a confident role that was moderately progressive for the early 60s. Women's liberation being in the ether, it was telling that for two-thirds of the film, Hedren seeks out and drives the plot and is played perfectly to boot. However, there is still one foot in the old world. What drives her actions before the birds attack? She's after a man. Australian actor Rod Taylor, handsome mummy's boy, but he's no Norman Bates. Hedren's affections bring us to the seaside town where the attack of the birds eventually takes place. Hitchcock takes his time in setting the scene and characters, a mellow melodrama with a backdrop of building tension. The characters seem only dimly aware of the goings-on and carry on regardless. When things get messy for the final act, Taylor takes over, a man's job evidently, as he, his new love, mother and younger sister are holed up as the birds attack. But we get ahead of ourselves. What we have before this is scene after scene of masterful rising tension, secondary characters who are killed off screen, and finally a major attack, expertly executed in full Technicolor display as the characters flail helplessly about. Birds appearing one at a time, then suddenly dozens without characters realizing, is textbook Hitchcock. What is suspense, one may ask? When the audience knows something is up but the characters don't, Hitchcock would reply. The family drama of Hedren trying to ingratiate herself with her would-be mother-in-law, played to perfection by Academy Award winner Jessica Tandy, gradually fall to the wayside. Characters reconcile as a few brutal scenes play out that no doubt shocked audiences at the time. The premise of everyday birds attacking could have fallen flat and has been suitably parodied by The Simpsons, with the birds replaced by babies. The attacks haven't aged perfectly. The matte shots and optical effects show the typical black lines of their day, but that is to be expected. If the audience goes in with a mind to watching a masterclass in building tension, well-rounded characters and great players, you can hardly do better than this. Hedren reportedly had a horrible time at the production, but the issues around Hitchcock's behaviour would reportedly not occur until the next film. Perhaps simply working with so many animals is little fun for anyone. Speaking of which, the birds were largely real, although fake birds were used and are occasionally noticeable. The cost was high, and this was a relatively big-budget picture for its time. Despite this, the final scenes were not completed, and the film does end rather abruptly, somewhat common for many of Hitchcock's films and not unusual of the day. It is the only note in the otherwise excellent film. The Birds easily goes down as the greatest horror film with the most ridiculous premise ever made, something that those who ripped off the film failed to note. If you take this silly premise and are not one of the greatest filmmakers to ever live, you are left with tripe. See Unintentionally Funny Disasters Beaks, 1987, and the Birdemic franchise from the 2000s. Stick with this one, though, the only bird-related horror film worth your time. Enjoy.